When I first sat down to arrange Gordon Lightfoot's Sundown for piano and voice, I had assumed this would be a really easy exercise because, well, the song is just a simple little folk song, right? It's only got two sections, verse and chorus. The verse is super short. The verse and chorus just repeat. And the chords are nothing, right? I mean, I can see her lying back in her satin dress in a room where you do what you don't confess. That's literally the verse right there. F sharp, power chord, C sharp, power chord. So what was I missing? Well, upon closer listen, Terry Clements and minor blues. Well, I can see a line back. You know what? This is not only a cool cover that we can learn, this is a great opportunity to learn a much more general topic that's going to be valuable to us in many of our covers. And that topic is, how do we apply blues ideas to a folk song or a pop song or a rock song? How do we use the blues to transform those relatively simple three-chord songs into something with mood, interest, and personality? Well, Terry Clements is going to give us a masterclass in how to apply blues ideas to a folk song. By the end of the video, you'll not only understand this concept, you'll have in hand a complete piano arrangement that's ready to perform. Now, before we jump into the song, every note Terry plays on the recording is drawn from one single place, and that is the F sharp minor blues scale. So we're going to want to look quickly at what that scale is, and more importantly, we're going to look at the concept of blues hand positions. It's the hand positions that are really going to help our blues playing sound like music. The F sharp minor blues scale is this: the root of F sharp, which is F sharp, the minor third, fourth, flat 5, 5, 7. It's a 6-note scale. To use this scale, well, you can run up and down and just sort of play the scale. But that's not what musicians do when they're doing blues licks. They don't just play the scale, they play fragments of the scale and they play patterns, of course. And a really helpful way to think about this minor blues scale is less as a scale than as a set of hand positions that give you options for playing fun little things. So for example, one hand position is the root hand position, where we put our thumb on the root note. Kind of sounds like blues, right? And I'm doing all that just by keeping my hands still and playing various combinations. So that's one hand position or hand grip. Another one would be starting on the 5 down here and playing notes of the minor blues scale. That's some patterns drawn from a hand position that starts on the 5. You could also take a hand position that starts on the 7, and you can get a lick like this. So what Terry Clements is actually doing is playing a bunch of variations of the minor blues scale that are kind of centered on different notes from the blues scale. The 5, the 7, or the root. All right, let's jump into the song now. I'd actually like to start by showing you the solo sections Terry plays. There's a short 4-bar solo interlude after chorus 2, and there's a longer extended minor blues solo later in the song. These are both direct applications of the concepts we just looked at, and also whatever cover version you do for this song, you can drop these solo bits in there and they're going to sound great. Now the first little solo section, that 4-bar solo, comes right after chorus 2. When I get feeling better, when I'm feeling no pain. Well, I can picture every move. All right, well, there's that section that I described. In terms of that little interlude, it's not very hard to play at all, and it uses that minor blues hand position that we talked about at the beginning, where you're putting your thumb on the 5. You're effectively playing an F sharp minor 7 chord, but that's really notes from the minor blues scale. The chorus has been major, 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 so this sounds nice and new and different, and it's just played like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you can put a slide on there. 2 and 3 and 4 and Now let's talk about the extended solo. What I'm going to do here is just play the notes of the melody of the solo first, one time through, with one note at a time, just so you can sort of see what it is, and see what you notice about this melody that Terry Clements has chosen to play for the solo section. Something like that. Well, what did you notice about that? It sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? And yet different. He's sticking religiously to the F-sharp minor blues scale, which is what has been the theme for the whole song. He's actually also taking licks we've heard and he's inverting them, bending them, and modifying them a little bit. Why? Well, this seems to work, doesn't it? It feels like it's part of the same song. It's part of the same overall statement, and yet it's fresh and new and interesting. It's better than just playing a bunch of random notes from the blues scale. You can do that, but it sounds terrible. Now, in terms of us pulling it off, we're going to have to do something with our left hand. A simple thing to do is just to kind of, emphasize that it's an F-sharp 7 by going back and forth from the root to the 7. We wouldn't typically just play one note at a time, of course. To make it sound a little bigger and fuller, you would typically harmonize all or part of that melody with at least one other note. One other note even is fine. So what we can do is we can play the F sharp and hold it and play it over top of all the other notes of the solo, something like this. All right, let's move into the core of the song now. We're going to look at verses, choruses, and transitions into verses and choruses, which is where our minor blues will again play a key role. Now, what's going on the studio recording is, if you listen carefully, Gord is in fact playing those chords that we mentioned, those ambiguous open 5 chords that are missing the third, and he's singing his major key melody. But every time he sings his major key melody in the verse or the chorus, Terry Clements is answering with a really cool minor blues lick. That's what's going on. So instead of this, if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs, she was looking like a queen in a sailor's dress. Instead of that, we have this. If I find you've been creeping round my back stairs, she was looking like a queen. You see what happened there? Terry's playing this minor blues lick, hitting the minor third of the F sharp, and then it resolves. She was looking like a queen and we actually have a modulation from minor to major, actually. So every time we get the melody, it sounds fresh. It's coming off a minor lick. That really works. In fact, I'd say that's exactly what makes the song a hit. It's already a great song concept, great words, great melody, but the blues playing elevates it into a hit. It was, of course, Gordon Lightfoot's only #1 hit in the USA, his biggest hit of all his songs. So remember that the underlying chords for the verse section really, really easy. And open F5, F sharp 5, I should say, right? We're absolutely not playing that third. We're going to sing it, but we're not going to play it. And then we bounce off the C sharp 5 chord and back to the F sharp 5. In terms of accent pattern, I just do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. She was looking like a queen in a sailor's dream, and she don't always say what she really means. you see what that was? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 accent pattern, the root in the fifth. Again, you can also throw in the 9 and it sounds actually kind of good. Something like that. It's loose, improvise it, play it very quietly. We're doing it a lot slower than I just did, of course. One of the things about this song that really gives it its grit is it's a super slow tempo, 108 beats a minute. It's really a challenge to hold that slow tempo, but the song feels better when you do. Part of the reason I like playing with drums on this one. All right, very easy. That pattern we can use really for every verse. Great. Well, let's talk about how to move from the verse into the chorus.
Getting lost in loving was your first mistake. Sundown.
Terry Clements just plays a variety of different little blues licks between verses and choruses on that recording. What I'm going to do on the piano is actually play Terry's licks for the most part in the left hand. It seems to be an interesting way to do it. So, for example, remember verse 1.
In a room where you do what you don't confess. Sundown.
So, our first lick is this. So for the chorus, we're going to the low F sharp. And backing up, we have the C sharp. It's a very brief minor blues portal, but it's there. And the trick to doing that is to sustain very, very carefully that rhythmic pulse in the right hand. That is like our metronome, that's our rhythm section, and that allows us to play different licks in the left hand. If we were moving from verse 2 into chorus 2, we do something similar, but just a little bit different.
She don't always say what she really means.
So there we're going up to the minor third. I might as well show you right now variation 3, which is, I think, the coolest of all.
I could see her looking fast in her faded jeans. She's a hard-loving woman, got me feeling mean. Sometimes.
Did you see the lick? It's neat. We just descend the minor blues scale. And we use the same trick here. We're sustaining. 1 and 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Those are the 3 variations that I use in the song to get from verse to chorus.
Sometimes I think it's a shame when I get feeling better when I'm feeling no pain. Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping round my back stairs. Sundown.
Now there are some subtleties here in the chorus accompaniment that can be really helpful in terms of enabling us to put that vocal across in a relaxed way to allow the vocal to come across clearly. You might have noticed in the studio recording when Gord sings, he's not shouting and screaming, is he? If you listen, there's a warmth to his voice. He's not whispering, but he's not screaming. He's not Axl Rose. He's singing at sort of a moderate level, but nonetheless his vocal is coming across in a crystal clear way. Well, how can that be? Part of it has to do with arrangement and voicings and giving the vocal space to shine through the mix. So something as simple as this. We're singing Sundown. We're singing this C sharp. That's the big note we're going to hit as we hit that hook of the chorus. Maybe it's a good idea to not play that C sharp with our thumb because there's no need. We're singing it. Let it be. So that simple idea really helps the voice come through in that section, I find. Likewise, when we're playing the B chord, you better take care. That's a key. You better take care. Let's not play the B. So watch what we can do.
Sundown, you better take care.
See it?
Sundown,
we own that note.
you better take care, you better take care.
It really, really helps. Also, beware of pedaling not to blur things too much. Really try and leave space and clarity for the vocals. So that's one point we can make in terms of accompaniment for the chorus. The second point is, in the studio recording, the way the hook works is the chorus melody comes once, Sundown, you better take care, and then it's repeated a second time. It varies depending on which chorus we're talking about in terms of the words, but when they repeat the vocal melody in the chorus, what do they do in the studio recording? Bam! There's almost like a choir of voices. The lead vocal is doubled and tripled, and then there's a huge harmony. What we can do is simulate those vocal harmonies a little bit simply by adding some extended tones to our accompaniment. In particular, the ninth works really well. So watch how this sounds.
Sundown, you better take care. If I find you've been creeping around my back step.
So I used the ninth of the F sharp, the ninth of the B, and the ninth of the E. And you can play it on the 2, you can play it on the 3 and. Minor thing, but it adds color and it helps it sound more interesting, bigger, a little bit less repetitive. So with those various points, the idea of playing naked 5 chords on the one hand, the first time we sing the vocal melody in the chorus, and then adding ninths to jazz it up a little bit the second time, that's a basic foundation for how we can play the chorus each time it comes. Now there is one other variation we can add to the accompaniment for the chorus that is used in the studio recording as well for the third and fourth choruses to give it more energy, to give it more tension. And that is, we can drop a minor blues lick right in the middle of the chorus, just like they do. We already know the lick, we've already looked at it, and it works really, really well.
If I find you've been creeping round my back step, Sundown.
See that? Right in the middle, major, major, minor blues lick, major, major, really works. You can do that whenever you feel like it. Third and fourth choruses works particularly well. The last thing I wanted to talk about just briefly is Gord's singing and the vocals generally on this song. Is there anything we can learn from Gord here in terms of singing? Probably. I think if we pay attention, there really is. He's a pretty fine singer. He's very much a trained singer as well as a skilled singer and a gifted artist. I just throw out a few things. I've already mentioned before. First of all, he's not singing with massive intensity. He's not shouting and screaming. It's a fairly relaxed vocal. There's still an energy to it, but he's not over-singing it. That's one thing. But much more important, I think there's really tremendous amount of rhythmic energy to it. If you listen carefully to what he's doing, he's not just going, I can see her lying back in a satin dress in a room where... There's a pulse to it. Right? And we've got to think about how he's doing that. It has to do with not singing too loud and allowing yourself the ability to just add a little energy to notes, adding accents to the vocal kind of in the same way we would if we're playing it,
I can see you lying back in a satin dress in a room where you do what you don't confess.
There's something you've got to be putting across there rhythmically. He certainly is. Maybe we can learn from that. Great. In terms of the chorus, it's almost a bit plaintive almost. It's pretty laid back. How do you do that? I'm not a formal vocal coach. I mean, I'm not going to talk about chest voice and head voice and embouchure or anything else. But what I do know certainly is you don't want to squeeze and be tense. You've got to be relaxed. You got to sit straight. You got to breathe in and have a lot of air and a lot of breath, and then just kind of put it across in a chill way.
Sundown, you better take care if I find you've been creeping around my back stair.
So chill. That's kind of what I pick up from Gord. I'm not claiming to be Gord. I'm saying that's what I hear when I try and do that, it really feels a lot more musical to me. You combine that with the voicing ideas we talked about earlier, and it sounds okay. I'd be curious what some of your thoughts are. What is it about Gord's singing that makes it as intriguing and as enjoyable as it is? I'd love to hear what you think. Tell me in the comments. One final thing then is the harmonies, which are a huge part of the hook of this song. There's no question the harmonies make the song much as the minor blues makes the song. It's another thing. Without the harmonies, it wouldn't be nearly the hit that it is, I don't think. For those of you that haven't tried to work out your own harmonies, it's much harder than you might think. You might think there's only a few notes to choose from. How difficult can this be? In this case, they've come up with really a killer harmony for that melody. It's something like this. It goes to the high F sharp. Oh, that is really something, especially this. Because you're hitting the sixth of the E chord. It's a brand new note. It's not part of the melody. It's not part of anything else. It's not anything anyone's playing on an instrument. It's a note we're adding. It's an unexpected note to be adding, and it really, really kind of makes the hook. So give that harmony a shot just for the fun of it. You know, grab a friend and sing it as a duo if you want. It's really fun. Look, also, if you're not feeling it to go up to the high F sharp, you can start on the major third. That also harmonizes nicely. And look, if we were going to rock out and sing this thing just for the fun of it, it would sound something like this.
Sundown, you better take care. If I find you've been creeping around my back stair. Sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning when I'm losing again. Sometimes I think it's a sin when I feel like I'm winning when I'm losing again.
Love to hear from you, by the way. Please do comment. See you next time.